Catherine Styler, Labour MEP for Scotland. We've now had, in addition to the white paper, a long 100-page odd document from the Scottish Government on Scotland in the European Union. The vision from the SNP government on how it sees Scotland becoming its own EU membership, getting a membership of the EU. Isn't the legal case now clear for Scotland to do that?
I don't believe it is. When you actually look at the detail of what they are proposing, it would take the UK government to instigate a change in what's called Article 48, and even if that were to happen, you would still need unanimity. That means all member states agreeing, and some member states, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that even the United Kingdom itself, if there is to be a treaty change, which now the Scottish Government admit, after pursuing them for 2.5 years on this question, they now admit it would be a negotiation and also a treaty change. And the UK Government requires a referendum for any treaty change. So, and that's not the only country that would require such action. So I believe what we now see from the Scottish Government is that there would be a negotiation, that there would be a treaty change, and also we now see from what the Spanish Prime Minister has said very shortly after this paper came out, that Scotland would have to be an applicant country. So, you know, there's one country already that doesn't agree with the Scottish Government's position. I mean, of course, it will be up to the Scottish people to decide in the referendum on the 18th of September what future they would prefer. However, when I was in the Economic Committee and put the question to Commissioner Almunia, the Spanish Commissioner, he advised the Scottish people to vote no. And I think if we want to remain a strong member in the European Union, I believe that it is Scotland's best interest to remain part of the United Kingdom, and through our membership of the United Kingdom, we can be strong members in the European Union.
I mean, new countries can join the European Union. It's Article 49, actually, of the details, when you look at the detailed treaty. But it's not Article 49 that the Scottish Government say they'd like to use. They'd like to use Article 48. What is Article 48 for those of us that, you know, haven't read all the detail as you and others have?
I think the Scottish Government believe it's a kind of back door to putting Scotland in the treaties in a way that doesn't need to change very much. But let's look at that for a moment. It remains the case that the treaties have to be changed if Scotland wants to become a member. And let's look at the fact that new countries that have come in to the European Union have gone through a process. Now, I have written to every Prime Minister to ask them what their perspective is on this issue, and a very interesting response came back from Croatia, who do say that they would expect that there would be a process. Now, let's not forget the Scottish Government's proposal is that if the people of Scotland vote yes in a referendum on the 18th of September 2014, we would be able to become full members of the European Union by, I believe, the 24th of March 2016. That's just a few months before the Scottish Parliament elections. Now, with the best will in the world, an 18-month window to negotiate with 28 different countries your membership of the European Union, even if you want to say it is from within, is a very, very ambitious programme indeed. And I would say that I think it is completely and utterly unrealistic, because also the Scottish Government want to maintain the UK opt-outs, which many of the EU member states couldn't opt out of some of the issues which the Scottish Government want to. They want to retain sterling, they want to retain the opt-out in Schengen. Well, that's a position to have, absolutely. However, the reality that we face is that there will be a negotiation and the need for treaty change, and that, I believe, will take some time. I believe the best interest for Scotland is to remain part of the United Kingdom, because I believe we're better together.
The Scottish Government use this concept of continuity of effect. That's something that they mention quite a lot.
They do, and I think the understanding is that, well, that's another way to describe that they want to keep what the UK benefits from at the moment. Well, then why leave the UK? So, is there
any basis of this continuity of effect? Is that something you can find, for example, in European law?
Well, I've been doing a little bit of investigation, and it seems to be a phrase that the Scottish Government are using, and other people are interpreting that as just meaning they just want to retain what the UK benefits from. And at the moment, we are members of the European Union. We have access to a single market over 500 million people. We have hundreds of thousands of jobs in Scotland reliant on our trade with the European Union and our membership of the European Union. I do not want to jeopardise that, and I believe in Scotland's best interest to maintain its membership of the United Kingdom and through that membership of the European Union.
Just briefly, you mentioned the Spanish Prime Minister's comments that Scotland would have to reapply from scratch for EU membership. Isn't there a feeling that he would say that, wouldn't he? Because he's worried about Catalonia, one of his provinces, breaking away from Spain.
I think it's quite remarkable, actually, that the Spanish Prime Minister's come out so vocally and so strongly to put the Spanish position. We now are in no doubt. I mean, I asked the question to Commissioner Almunia. He was very clear that the Scottish people should vote no to leave the United Kingdom. And when you listen to what the Spanish Prime Minister said yesterday, he is being very, very clear about their position. Now, it's a choice not to listen to that, but I think you have to listen to what they are saying, because if the Scottish people decide this is the direction they want to go in, it's very clear what the Spanish position is.